believe that head fake means, yes, we're live. We are live. There's some goofy little eyes down here at the bottom of the screen. Maybe that's a clue. It's Mystery Guest Day.
Where do you see
as part
eyes?
of DLLS
Oh.
Spirit Week. We have a guest who will be on for the entire show. Let's turn off our volumes and let's get started. It's going to be a good one. I promise you will not be disappointed with our mystery guest. This is the DLLS Stars podcast. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage is brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. And by Happiest Hour, your home base and the best place to catch the Stanley Cup final, just steps away from the AAC. The ultimate spot with 50-plus beers and 40-plus TVs for all the big moments every single game day. Happiest Hour, your favorite spot for the Stanley Cup final. And we welcome you to our DLLS Stars podcast on a Tuesday, June the 17th. Before we get to the mystery guest, let's talk about Big Brothers Big Sisters, because as part of ALLCITY Spirit Week, we are teaming up with Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, an incredible group creating life-changing mentorships for kids across the country. We've set a goal of $10,000, but we'd love to smash right through that, and we can with your help. Big shout out to our very big listener / viewer, I Love Misty,
yes,
who gave a Ludwig yesterday, $303.03 donation to the Big Brothers Big Sisters. You can donate using the link in the video or in the description here on YouTube. And if you want to make an even bigger impact, you can also sign up to become a big by visiting bbs.org/allcity. Let's do something meaningful together this week. Luds is already waving. All right. Alongside Craig Ludwig, Sam Nestler, and, of course, Elijah Smith, our producer, and Yoshi. He's in the Bud Light bucket.
Straight
I'm
from
Owen
my
Newkirk.
bedroom.
We have a mystery guest today. And for the big intro and reveal, we turn it over to Sam.
Yes, so we're going to give Craig Ludwig a chance to guess here before we start the show. So I'm going to give you a few hints before we bring on our guest. Our guest is from Ontario. He is 32 years old. He has played 154 NHL games in his career. He's a big fan of Mario Kart as well as superheroes.
Lud still has no idea.
This better not be the dude that made the song up.
Oh, no,
Are you talking about Hella Buck, Buck, Buck?
No, not that one.
What song?
What's the other clue?
He got to know.
Oh, no, you say he played 154 NHL games?
Yep. He got to know 2 different cities very well this season.
He did?
Yep. I got one more tip for you. You want it?
Yeah.
He went to the same high school and played for the same OHL team as Tyler Seguin.
Well, I don't know where Tyler Seguin played. He went to the same high school as me?
No.
No. How old is he? 34?
32.
32.
I hope.
Went to the same. I won't even know where the hell Tyler played.
You want us to bring him in?
All right.
Yeah.
You got to guess.
The chat is figuring it out.
All
Sam,
right.
What? Are they? Did they
They got
figure it
it.
out?
They're
They
guessed
know.
because of the clues. Sam?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Scott Wedgewood.
Yeah.
There he is.
There he is.
Probably a little uglier than your ex-wife, eh, lads?
Just another guy I couldn't
if
score on.
only the viewers could have heard our pre-show chat.
What the hell has this got to do
Oh,
with
they
me?
don't know that? I thought that was live.
Wedgie was
Oh, for
listening,
crying
but
out
he was
loud.
in the virtual green room. So he got to hear that, but nobody else knew. That was
Wedgie, by
pretty
the way, I'm Luds. Nice to meet you.
I met you at I actually met you at Don's memorial there in the bar. that you
Oh,
told the
yeah.
story.
There you go. Yeah.
See?
Well, and you know, I don't remember a lot about that because when you have these kind of things at a brewery, it kind of, it was it was
You can
appropriate
tell.
place for Don though. Hey,
Yeah.
by the way, how long did you get to spend with Don? Don Windicombe, by the way, who we're
Yep.
talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I was traded there in I think it was I think it was the second season I was there. So I was there for half, like the trade deadline down, and then the next year he ended up passing.
What a great guy,
dude.
huh?
Unbelievable.
So nice. Now you
I
guys
still,
probably
came
talked
back
to
in the
him.
playoffs there. Yeah, I came back in the playoffs, and Jonathan and Bob that run the door, we were talking about him again. So that was cool.
You guys probably interacted with him more because you're down there. I mean, I would see him when we'd walk by. I didn't loiter a lot before games down in the locker room hallway by that door, but couldn't have been a nicer human being.
It was funny because in the beginning when we got there were like 9 of us that rode a lot, bikes, not bicycles, Harleys. So anyway, and Don had a bike also. And so he was always trying to get his foot in the door when he wanted to come for a ride with us. And ultimately we were thinking, well, why not? Well, then eventually we became pretty tight. And one day he says to me, hey, I got a job that I'd like you to help me with. And so come to find out after, I don't know how long it was, Don was a PI. I didn't even know that. And so what it was is he would be doing these jobs where people are collecting disability, but they're riding in on their Harleys and going to the bar and having a few beers and riding out. So Don would get a picture of them. And so I said, what do you want me to do? I said, I just want you to come to the bar and drink. And I'm like, what? And he goes, well, sometimes they'll know me. I just want you to come in. We'll ride in there. You just kind of, I'll tell you, point the guy out and you go sit next to him and have a few beers and ask him if he wants to go down the street to the next bar. So far, I'm thinking, well, this is a piece of cake.
Perfect job for you.
And I said, okay. And then as soon as we got on the bike, Don would be waiting outside behind a tree or somewhere, and he'd get a little picture of the guy driving off and busted. You know,
Wow.
I felt bad. I was the bad guy in the whole thing, right? I mean,
You were the bait.
well, I was the bait, and then sometimes I needed a little more info on who we're actually dealing with here, because I go to Sturgis with a group of guys, and sometimes I'm like, okay, well, this
Boy,
stuff
Wedgie didn't know what he was
this
getting
stuff
into
can
today.
go sideways once in a while. So anyway,
I
enough of
remember the
that.
story. It was cool. No, I
We
remember.
call
Wedgie,
them
I'm actually
Bloods
so
Capades.
happy that this is you right now, because when these idiots were talking to me a couple minutes ago, I was so worried this was going to turn into a roast and it would have been my 3 kids on here. And that would have been one pure roast.
We
So-
have to do that later.
Yeah,
we
we'll do
will
that.
He
do
gave
it
us-
now.
He gave us a lot of ideas. All right, Wedgie, let's start off with something. We're going to get into way too many topics for
We need 2 hours.
for 1 hour.
1 hour
here,
will
but
not be enough.
I want to start with the most recent, which is when I
Okay.
texted you to get on the show. You told me you had, and I think you called dad duty for the week because your wife was gone with your daughter Scarlett. I've
Yeah,
seen videos of you throwing green shells at your own daughter riding a Mario Kart, which is why we have Yoshi here for you. So all I want to know is, how was dad duty and what sort of shenanigans did you two get into?
Awesome, unbelievable, easy baby. But we actually, I don't know if what much you can hear, but I got construction going on out back. We just put a pool in, so they're doing all the stuff around it. We've had water all last week, so we were in there, a little splash pad for her and stuff. And then my parents came down, because if it was just me and her, nothing in the house would have got done. But my mom and dad are unbelievable at jobs and OCD, and my dad and I, got a lot of tasks done. So they were here for the week, which is awesome. And with the pool and whatnot, they got a little vacation out of it. So she survived. Wife's back. Everything's back to normal. No damages, which was good. But no, I mean, easy baby right now. I can't complain. And it's a lot of fun when you get that opportunity with her moving around now. She's hard to keep up with.
I was going to ask you about this, but since you brought it up, I didn't think at the time that we were going to have you on today, so I didn't do like a screenshot. But you posted a photo on your Instagram story a week or two ago of the backyard pool being built. And I don't know if you know this, but Ludz's family, speaking of the kids in the roast, they have a pool company in the family. And I figured you guys would love to swap building pool stories. What's going on up in Michigan right now?
I'm calling it Wedgewood, but we have like a L-shaped backyard, so our driveway will be like a retaining wall at the end, and then I'm running a pickleball court from the driveway end to the back of the property line, and then I have like the L across the backyard. We're on like the pie shape of the subdivision, so I got a 20 by 40 gunite pool with a 8 by 15 splash pad in there, and then we'll have next year when we leave. I actually got pretty lucky when I bought this place. Underneath the garage is like a workshop excavated room, so it's a 3-car garage above and below. So I'm digging that down, and that'll be the golf simulator and gym that I have in the garage will come down. So I'm going to have every sporting event you can possibly have here, and be very entertained all year long when hockey's done.
Did he say he's going to call it Wedge World? Is that what you said?
I don't know. That's my
Wedgewood.
wife called.
That's
Keep messing
amazing.
around,
I love it. I
That's
mean,
amazing.
that sounds like a guy that doesn't want to leave the house.
Yeah.
I'm just going to bring
I
it
know.
all to my property. Never have to leave.
Everybody come to me.
Yeah, it's perfect. So let's get into some hockey stuff, and then we can get silly and whatever. But I want to go back to last summer. Obviously, you loved your time in Dallas. You've said nothing but wonderful things about being here, really feeling like you were a part of the Stars organization, a difference than maybe your previous stops, right? And the tandem with you and Jake and the relationship that you had and all the guys, and we still see that even to this day. But wanted to ask you about why Nashville. As a free agent, what appealed about signing with the Preds last summer?
Well, it just kind of came down to not getting anything kind of back from Dallas. It wasn't about leaving or really anything. It was just, I felt after 2 years, most people got a little bit of a raise, and unfortunately the cap situation was what it was. And there was nothing ill-willed about anything. It was just they didn't have money to go around, and Harley wanted to take it all from me, so get him shit. But no, it was just there was no ill will. It was just, hey, this is what we have for the job. He can take as many years as he wants, or whatever the case may be. We'll try and work it out to kind of appeal to him. And looking at family and situations and what it was, it just kind of felt like I had just got my it was maybe a team friendly deal, but it was also my first one way when I signed that 2-year $1 million deal. So I was pumped just to take that and get in the league and earn some time. And then I didn't blow anything out of the park. I did my job, and then it was one of those situations where I was like, a little bit more would go a long way if I want to buy a house there and do some things and have 2 properties and all the behind the scenes logistical stuff that's just hard on the lower end side. You're still making a good living. There's no complaint about it. It's just the way the kind of the world works, and it kind of felt that wasn't going to move much. And we came down the last few days, and I was just like, let's see what's out there. And then Nashville, as soon as phone lines open, called at $500,000 more a year. It's $1 million after 2 seasons. If they got a 2x1 again, or 2x1.5, that goes a long way for my entire generational side of the family. Parents, everybody, they're coming up on retirement. It was a big picture decision, and then obviously Nashville was looking at making a splash, which they did. Probably one of the most sought after cities for free agents, just in the sense of how fun it could be and what the overall vibe was. Obviously, a little bit of a shortcoming for them this season, and the way it started obviously didn't last long there. I think I was there from Labor Day to Thanksgiving, but the contract now is what I was looking for, which was a huge part of it. And there wasn't as much when I was asking for from Dallas, which was unfortunate. Just there was nothing there, and they had so many pieces, and they're up against it again. So it's a hard job for those guys, and it's not we don't want you. It's just this is what we can afford for that position. And I was lucky enough to get what I got. I just obviously did wish it was there at the time, for sure.
So then you go there, and look, when you signed and we started our show, I think it was late August, and we talked about the move because it had happened a month or so before, because we weren't on the air yet. We talked about, look, we don't hold it against you. You're a player. You have we all know, finite career. You have to try to maximize what you can with your earning power while you can. And there was no hard feelings. This was just business, as you just laid out. Then you get the opening night start at Bridgestone Arena against the Dallas Stars. It's like they scripted it even. What was that like to face your old team the first game with your new team?
Pretty emotional, honestly. Like just the whole build up to it. Saros was right on the mend. He was kind of slotted to start, and then I think it was the night before where they're like, "Hey, you're going to go. We don't want to, risk him any more than what he's already been done." So it was kind of last minute where I didn't have a ton of prep time. The guys had come over for dinner the day before and kind of said hi and things like that. So quick pace, it just kind of was what it was. I let up a little bit of, I'd call it a softie to Marchman, and ended up winning the game. So they hold that over me. And then obviously with Jason scoring, I still get texts from him the other day. He's like, "I'll be back in Michigan soon and scoring on you all summer." So he got a few on me this year. So I always hear from him. It's a tough guy to stop, but emotional. I mean, we got like a little board in Scarlett's room of stuff that happened all year, and that roster of both teams at the start of the season's on the board. We had a little game card sheet from that, and big day. They did the they had like a gold carpet, like you guys do the green carpet, and we were able to bring our kids. So she was in my arms walking in the arena and stuff, and just definitely different. Start the season emotional, and then all that added up. I would like the day back for the hockey side of it. I didn't play a bad game, but felt I could have been a little bit better, and my year just kept rising for my play, which was nice. But a little bit of a tough start, but also the team had a tough start, so it was on all of us.
We're going to continue this conversation in just a second, but we have to do a couple ads real quick, so bear with us. More with Scott Wedgewood next here on DLLS.
We're going to lead this off with me, aren't we?
Oh, of course.
Always.
All right. Mando is a men's deodorant brand that's focused on keeping every aspect of a man's body smelling fresh and clean. Every aspect. Okay, got it? Mando overtly calls out more colorful parts, men's bodies, such as your pits, your belly button, butt cracks, your berries, and Sam, what else?
Your grundle.
Oh, the grundle. For Owen and all the new listeners that may not know, Owen, where is the grundle located?
I believe it's the nether regions where you call the perineum.
That's it. It's kind of between. It's the ain't. It's the taint.
Scott, please don't leave.
It's kind of. You know what? If somebody gave you a wedgie, they would find the grundle.
He brings it into the second
He's
straight
so
guess.
good. He is a
Isn't that
poet,
something?
people.
Anyway, their sweet scents are geared
Unbelievable.
towards men with options like bourbon leather, clover woods, and Mount Fuji. Who wouldn't want their balls smelling like Mount Fuji? Created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Clinically proven to block odor all day and control it for up to 72 hours. Mando's starter pack comes with a solid stick deodorant, a cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, the all-important wipes. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off starter packs with our exclusive code. That's code DLLS at shopmando.com.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Luds. That was fantastic.
Now try to do this in 40 seconds.
Yeah, if you love a Wendy's classic Frosty flavor, we have some big news for you. There are all new Frosty Swirl and Frosty Fusion flavors that you can get in either chocolate or vanilla. Same creamy treat you've always loved, now with a flavor refresh. Thoroughly blended and mixed Frosty Fusions or Frosty Swirls with strawberry, brownie batter, and caramel, and Frosty, I change that every time, Frosty Fusions with Oreo
Doing
brownie,
great.
caramel crunch, and Pop-Tart strawberry. John loves that one. Anyway, whatever flavor you're craving, odds are we've got a Frosty for it. So clock in for a sweet treat anytime, including midnight or later with Wendy's all-new Frosty flavors. A refresh on a classic, gotta be Wendy's. At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location.
I've been told, somebody already just texted me during
Scott
this
leave?
read. No, Wedgie's still, Scott's still here. Going, why did you guys take Scott off the screen during Luds' Mando read? We need to see his reactions to when he says things like grundle and belly button Mount Fuji smell.
Wait, Wedgie, to be honest, have you ever heard of the grundle?
I haven't. I
Thank
don't-
you.
I still
None
don't know
of
what
us
you're
have.
talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
You've learned a new anatomy word today, so congratulations
What
for
we do here.
joining our show.
Are we going to learn or no?
I'm just. Are you trying to find it right now? You're kind of
I don't know. My
squirming
hands are
over
up,
there.
so-
Okay.
He's got his hands on the screen.
Where I can
I don't
see
know what to do
him.
with my hands right now.
All right. By the way, there's so many funny comments again, and the best one is definitely the one saying Wedgie's sitting here going, "Did I just hear Craig Ludwig say grundle?" So
He still doesn't
yes.
know what it is.
Let's get back to, well, this is a bad segue. Let's get back to the Predators. Speaking of perineums, what happened in your estimation? Because we're talking about the trade and going to Colorado, but in your mind, when you look back at this, because we saw the summer and we all kind of drank the yellow Kool-Aid a bit, thinking like all of our preseason picks were the Preds were going to be a playoff team. We all picked them.
Yep.
The big moves, Stamkos, Marchessault, Wedgewood. I mean, Mount Rushmore kind of adds right there. What do you think from your experience there, and why did it not click the way we all thought it would?
I think it's more of a time thing. Like, just, you think of Stamkos as being in Tampa for, 10 plus seasons, I think he had there. Marchessault obviously had a move in his career, but he had just spent a good time with Vegas. And then you got a lot of guys that are just absolute studs. O'Reilly, Marchessault and Stamkos come in. Schen's played 1,000 games. Yossi's good. Forsberg's already a staple there. It was just more, I think, the chemistry and the systems, everybody changing. Like when I come in as a goalie and you went from Pete DeBoer's system to a layered system behind Brunette, like my sight lines were completely different. Like camp, I had a terrible camp. Everything had changed, like where the pressure was coming from, what looks they had. Like it was just weird to get behind that system that I never played before, and I'm 32 years old, to now all of a sudden have this completely different look at the game. And then you watch, Vegas play it, and you can't get to their net. Edmonton plays it right now, and Skinner and Aiden Hill are on their post half the game, just getting hit with pucks. I mean, I feel like Jake would be unbelievable behind it because he's so big and so good at his post. You just keep the game in front of you, and you pretty much have success. So it was a little different for me. I'm obviously Saros is a reaction goalie and things like that, but I think it's more just time. Like, you give those guys that full season, they come back next year, their kids are in new schools, their family, their drive to the rink's different. I've been moved a lot and I can, adjust quickly, but it is hard. Like, I had horrible days sometimes where it's just like everything's changed, everything's different. Where am I going? Like, I had this contact there, now I'm in a new city. I just got to do this, and it's not quick. So I feel like it's just, when you got that many pieces, even regardless of the hockey, like, they have lives and logistics and houses and sales and all that kind of comes behind it. And the guys that have had 8x8s in one city, it's a big shock. And I think Randon kind of proved that, going to Carolina and then coming to you guys, he found his footing. But he's probably feeling that same thing of, where do I live? Who do I talk to? I used to love this sandwich shop, and it's all a lot, and especially when you're trying to rely on those guys to play too. It's just going to take some time, I think.
Well, since this is a Nashville Predators show, apparently, I want to ask you in particular about Stammer. It, to me, Wedgie, when I'm watching the game, and especially on the power play, he played with a group of guys know him so well in Tampa, right? And he's in that same spot. You could pick out Ovechkin, guys like that. It seemed to me at times he was all loaded up for that one-timer over there, and the puck may be off by an inch or two. And it kind of threw him off. Did you, as a goalie, whether, practice and things like that, is it something that they work on, or did you notice that same thing? And you know how that is. You want it in your sweet spot all the time. And It was like the adjustment period was just too long for that to come about.
Yeah, totally agree with you. I was with them in Tampa when they won the Cup in 2020 in the bubble. There was their third goalie, and I don't know how many one-timers I took from him in the bubble, but to Kucherov had been feeding them, and they're on the ice together. And credit to the guys, like that first power play unit, Marchie, Forsberg, Yossi, they're all out there and trying it and talking, and then they'd make a whatever segment type play they want to run. Is it down low to the middle, back to him, or whatever it is. And after 3 reps, they'd all get together and talk, and it'd be different. And then you can see it in the game when that breakdown happens. He's looking for it, and someone shoots it, and you can see that little bit of like, that's my puck kind of vibe. But it looked like they started to get going near the end of the year. It just obviously was too late. And when you're that far out of the question, it's now, what are we kind of playing for in the vibes other than your own kind of structure. But I totally agree with you. There was definitely a little bit of off or mischemistry between the whole room. Like we weren't winning games with that roster on paper. You should have, and unfortunately, it kind of led to changes being made, and one of those obviously me out of there pretty quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a lot of transition questions with you, Scott, and I always annoy you when you get traded or have certain things. So
he annoys us too.
Let's skip.
I got like 12 suitcases behind this wall over here. If you want to see how much.
So let's skip forward. You moved to Colorado. You have the crazy start, all those things. Let's go to the playoffs here.
Oh, you're really fast forward.
I'm fast forwarding.
Okay.
We only got an hour.
Then I'm going to jump in real quick.
Oh, we got more questions about trades.
Yeah, it is.
I've tried.
So Wedgie got traded on
I was
November 30th.
going to do the very same thing, Sam. I thought it was time to move on.
It is. We're going to Colorado now. I wanted to ask you about your debut with the Avalanche, and then we can fast forward to the playoffs. Okay. Although he had 2 shutouts in Colorado, I'm sure he wouldn't hate talking about that. Tied his career high in a single season. But it was December 3rd was your debut. You weren't even starting in this game. It was in Buffalo, and you weren't the what was the – hey, Luds, do you remember – I mean, Scott would know. What was the nickname when they acquired Blackwood?
Lumberyard.
The Lumberyard. That's right. That was what Luds like to call you too. But Georgiev was still in Colorado at the time. So he gets the start. He gives up 4 goals. I think it was on
the Woodshed.
7 shots.
It could be the Woodshed.
I like the Woodshed too.
Yeah.
I know. I think after BRL did it, we all like the Woodshed too. It just can't. I put it to a vote on my Instagram. I shouldn't have trusted some of the fans.
It's always a risk to put it to the public, right? You're going to get Bodie McBoatface.
Especially when you get lit up in games you're both through. Now it becomes a splinter shop or something like that.
Or just you've been taken to the Woodshed, right? Yeah. So you come in, I think it's the first period. You're down 4-0. And I was actually watching this game. It was on TV. I don't know why I turned it on. And it's just boom, boom, boom. Buffalo scores goals. And I'm going, wow, this one's over. You come in and you guys win 5-4. You stopped all 22. And we got that great video in your dressing room after the game. You got the big, giant, oversized Avalanche hat of me. What a great way to introduce yourself to your new teammates.
Yeah, it's my intro to the team. I think you guys are the only ones to spoil. I think that loss to you at the start of the season was the only loss I've ever had on a new arrival.
Really?
For start, yeah. Like even in the American League, I honestly think I won every stinking start I got on a new team. No, it was just like it was such a whirlwind, right? Like we just talked about all things changing. We played at home in Nashville against somebody on Friday. We're in Minnesota that night to sleep, play the midday game, and I'm asleep. Hopefully, I think it was right before 11, and right around midnight, there's an alarm beep going off in my room, and Barry Trotz is at my door, and he's like, "Hey, we just traded you to Colorado," and I was slated to start against Minnie the next day, and obviously everyone calls you. You got agency calling, new teams, coaches calling, new GMs, new travel agents for the team, and people like that. So that all gets a whirlwind. I get to Colorado the next day, back up in Edmonton. Damn. They give me the next day off to fly back to get some clothes because it was just an overnighter, and then I meet them in Buffalo. And obviously, Bednar is like, "Hey, like when have you played last?" Because they were running Saros because we weren't winning. So then all of a sudden it's 4 minutes in and you're down 2, and you get the little sink in your gut like might be going, and then you're down 3, and you kind of look at coach, but you're like, "I'll play. I'll get me in the net anytime I want. I want to be in the net as much as possible." And then 4 goes in, and he kind of looked at me. He's like, "You're going." So got in there, and it wasn't nervous or anything like that. It was more just you want to have your best foot forward, and you're kind of in a game that stinks. So we got 1. I kind of did the job for the first, and everybody kind of knew we just had a slow start for whatever reason. But with that team, obviously you guys know them so well too, playing against them, they can unload on you. So it was just kind of that vibe, like fight your way back, and then found a way to win it, and which was cool. I had a similar thing in Arizona when I went there the second time. Vamelka gave up 2 early to Seattle, and we came back and won, I think 4-3 or something for the first win. They were 0-10-1 that year, and I think that was Andre Turnegie's first career win. I had his there. I had Tockett's there. It was a couple different stories, but yeah. And then just the locker room thing. I obviously coming in there was a big story on the room wasn't vibing, and there was a few issues and stuff. And I just kind of wanted to give a little speech because you have to usually, and sometimes I don't like to do too much, but I just kind of wanted to say from the get-go, like I'm there for all of them, whether it's all 4 lines are playing or all 60 are playing or 2 goalies a night, whatever it has to be. Like let's try and turn this right now on my arrival and be a nice safe space for the guys. It kind of was a whole intention behind it. It kind of blew up a little bit more than I intended, but been a few shirts I've seen in warm-ups with that on it, and it's not a crazy concept. It's what you put on the ice. You got 20 guys, but just to have it set in that moment, I guess it caught a little bit of fire.
Yeah, you also have us probably posting it 7 times over here.
Well, of course,
watching it. But didn't you? I think I confirmed this. You had 72 saves against Carolina in your debut for Dallas. Is that right?
Did you 125 shots on that?
Yeah, I think that was it, right? I had actually, Elijah, do you have that picture of Scott and Jake on the ice at the arena? I was just thinking, I was looking back at pictures of when you first came here, and I think you were wearing your Coyotes gear. You had the black helmet with the star, like the green sticker on it. Here you go. Here's I believe this came up on a memory the other day. I think it was the first skate. That's the red. Is that the Arizona pads you got?
Yeah, the maroon, gold, and green. And then Reeser and I went back to 2012, my first year pro. He was working for Philly and came down to the coast for Cal Heater and Nico Hoivonen. So I knew Reeser from way back and would have been the first time on the ice with him since 2012. And I got a lot of contacts.
I was going to say, what's the process for you of getting I'm sure we're going to talk gear and stuff like that. Getting the new stuff.
Got to be in the right order, though.
Yeah, of course.
Don't jump around.
But I'm just curious, getting the new stuff, because you had that helmet. I don't know how long you had that classic, just the black sticker or whatever on it. How quickly does that transition happen to get the pads and the gear and everything when you do go to a new team?
Usually like the next day that you're traded, the goalie reps that work for the companies will reach out and just say, hey, we had a set going. So like this year when I got traded, they had a set going for Nashville, and they just kind of pulled it off the line, changed the colors and remade it. So that one, usually it's 2 weeks. The biggest hiccup is from the factory. It's got to go to the league offices. They have to sign off on your measurements and that new LDS system to make sure no one's cheating, kind of thing like that. So that's, they go from Montreal to New York, get measured in New York, and I don't know how long that process is, a couple days, then reship to you, and then you got to break them in, and some guys can use them out of the box. I'm usually 4 or 5 practices, so that takes some time. And then I've been in the same helmet for a few years, so now Dave Art over in Sweden, he's got a couple molds of my head kind of ready to go, and he just kind of says, hey, you're on a new team, I'll paint a new one, and I got to actually start making a design for next year now too. So that's that same thing, couple week process, and then it all just kind of comms. I had a yellow shoulder pads there, chest protector for a bit under the Avs jersey because that's kind of like I only make 1 or 2 of those a year. So a mid-season ask for that, it kind of gets they move it up as quick as they can, but it's not an overnight process.
The trade, I didn't know it was that long, but also the trades never seem to be from a red team to a red team or a blue team to a blue team.
Never.
It's always a goalie with
from
the
Montreal
bright
to Boston,
red.
right?
It's hilarious.
Or you got Tim Thomas just doing whatever he wants for the fun.
Florida Panthers gear and wherever team, right? Let's talk about masks next here on DLLS with Wedge.
Butt cracks and beer. What's up, Stars fans? Hey, it's just about a little over a week to the NHL draft. Stars don't have any first-round picks, but tune in anyways. Enjoying a game should be easy. What to wear? Throw on that favorite Stars jersey and get ready for next season. Not sure what to serve your friends? That's even easier. Grab some Bud Light, grab some pizza, and stock up that fridge. See, it's that easy. Just like Bud Light, which is always brewed with 4 simple ingredients for a clean, crisp taste. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. But remember, Sam does it responsibly. Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer,
Straight.
St. Louis, Missouri.
Is that because he only drinks it by the thimbleful?
He just
Drink
does it.
one a year.
He's one of the good
Very
ones.
responsible. All right,
you.
let's talk about Shady Rays. You know that moment, the one you realize you left your favorite sunglasses at the beach or on the roof of your car or at a gas station 3 states away, or if you're Scott, maybe the last place before you got traded. Sorry, that was a low blow. Well, we've all been there. Then you find Shady Rays and it changes the game. Why? Well, these sunglasses are made for real life. Seriously good looking, polarized, durable, and not stupidly expensive. And here's the wild part. If you lose or break them, even on day 1, Shady Rays will send you a brand new pair. No guilt trip, just replacements. So now I actually wear my sunglasses without fear. On hikes, concerts, on the boat, wherever. Shady Rays is eyewear that has your back. So, speaking of the boat, Luds will be on a boat in a couple of weeks, and then we'll probably never get him back. We've teamed up with Shady Rays to bring you an exclusive offer. Head to shadyrays.com, use the code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people, and me, not Sam, not Luds. I don't even know if Elijah got them or not. But they're definitely worth your time. All right, let's bring Scott back in. And we'll talk masks real quick since you brought it up there, Sam.
Excellent non sequitur.
I should have sprinted
Scott.
and grabbed one. I just thought about it.
Well, it's okay. We have pictures for
Wedgie's
you.
got the same decorator apparently as Sam
He's
does.
got my background.
It is.
I know he's hiding
Hey,
from
I
construction.
got
He hasn't.
stuff in here.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
He's got an excuse.
Sam's got no books, though.
Does he? No, I don't even want to get in there. So let's show the Mario Kart, because when you were in Dallas, you went through a bunch of different ones. Not that one, the other one. Oh, and now we spoiled it, so now Scott knows where we're going. There we go. So that's Robo and Otter on one side, which an homage to a couple of his teammates. And then there's the family group on the other side. But this was pre-Dad in the World stuff. This was anticipation of this. And then there's one more there. You can get a better view. Well, Wedge, this year, as you well know, go to the Avalanche one now. When you went to Colorado, now you're actually a girl dad. And I just think that keeping that theme together was really cool.
Yeah. I kind of was in that Nashville one. I made a Wolverine mask trying to tie the colors in. And then I didn't even get to wear it. I made like a cork board type wall that you would pin on stuff if you were a fan. I made the one warm-ups before I got traded, but it's like a yellow brick helmet with all like a juice box for Saros, a mustache for Forsberg, like stuff for the team. And then going to Colorado, they're like, hey, we got to make 2 masks because we don't want you obviously in Nashville color helmets. So quickly it was like, hey, like let's do obviously mountains and stuff, dogs coming down. I got Wild Bucky on snowboard and Commer Cap on skis, and then Scarlet in the tube and things like that to tie it in. And then I made another one with like a Game of Thrones theme that actually was the first mask in my entire career I didn't get to take home. So the charity there buys it, and then the team paints it, and then they sell it off. So they let you keep one, and they took the family one first. And I'm like, I'd rather probably have the family one for me, and you guys can auction off the Game of Thrones one. So, but yeah, no, I mean, my wife and I sit down and spitball ideas for days and hours, and I Google every color and things like that. So, you know, I had some marble ones when I first got there, but yeah, with the baby coming and tying it all in. And then when I first got the sketch from Dave, he had Scarlett with Robo and Jake behind her on like one cart. And I'm like, maybe I should put my dogs with my daughter. Like,
what are these adults doing in this big car?
Yeah, I wouldn't trust Robo with a child who's going anytime. Jake wouldn't be bad, but no, Robo's not going anywhere near daddy daycare.
I cut you off earlier because I wanted to kind of keep that in order. Do you want to go to the playoffs now, or do you want to talk about Tyler for a second?
Let's talk about Tyler.
Okay.
That's more fun.
So I reached out to your good friend Tyler Sagan, knowing that you were jumping on the show, and I asked him if I should ask you anything in particular, bring up any wild stories, things that might be embarrassing questions. And I feel like he kind of punted. I think he was doing you a solid here, because here's what Tyler said. You can just ask how wild it is thinking back to how we were in high school to where we are now as dads. And then he said he may have done some of my homework back in the day.
98% some. No, honestly, like he was so good for me in so many different ways, because the way I was kind of brought up was, you know, like I went into my basement, I played video games, I played with my brothers. We were kind of just homebodies and a chubby kid, and then he was, you know, star-studded, you know, projected NHL player from the get-go. So to get into Plymouth, and he was kind of, you know, obviously a bit more into everything, fashion, workouts, nutrition, like everything that I was kind of just like raw talent.
Yes.
Yeah, there's Fat Wedge. That was my old joke. But yeah, like it was just, you know, he had such a different, you know, kind of way about life that we had. Yeah, that we did that for breast cancer. That's actually hilarious.
I love that.
It's a great picture.
But like, yeah, he was so different in that regard. So like having the, you know, the mesh of it, I was kind of your, you know, good kid. Break a lamp's the worst thing I've done, and he had, you know, done stuff that I would never even been allowed to do in my house. So we even each other out, and then just you know, after school and things like that, you'd have so much time between practices and days off and everything in between. We hung out 24/7. He was my ride to school. Some days I didn't get picked up, but the way it goes. And no, it's just funny. And, you know, when I first came to Dallas, he had bought the new house and things, and he brought me over just to kind of say hi and things like that. And we're walking around, and I don't know if I caught him off guard or it was just the way I perceived it, but I was like, dude, like, this is insane. Like, good for you. And it was kind of just one of those moments where he was just kind of like, oh shit, like that's like genuine. It wasn't like, hey, let me move in or whatever. It was just like, dude, like, I'm proud of you. Like, you were just gross back in Plymouth. You know, everyone talked about you since we were 10 years old. To do what he's done and obviously be a big name in the league and hold his own and perform surgeries, everything he's gone through. It's crazy. And then seeing him become a girl dad too, we were texting about it, and he's like, got any advice? I'm like, I didn't really like when people gave me advice. I'm like, just, you know, hold her, tell your lover, you'll be fine. It's just, it's so hard to kind of say what works and what doesn't. But I think we both needed the girl dad to humble us a little bit and look at life a little differently.
Well, I wanted to play a video that you've actually posted on your Instagram feed, because this has to do with Tyler, and I don't know if you can anticipate already, but the reaction to what you did for your buddy is hysterical. So go ahead, Elijah, and roll the video of the Scott Wedgewood socks.
Oh, yeah,
if you have that at your fingertips. Oh, he's going to go look for. Okay, so we'll come back to that. So why don't we pivot to playoffs, and then when we have the video, we'll go back to that.
All right. So Scott, as I was asking you 20 minutes ago, when you move it, so you had the whole situation with Colorado. You already talked about your first games against Dallas. So you're like, I can't get away from these guys. You play them a bunch of times with both teams. Then your first round series is against Dallas. What are the initial thoughts? And then how did that series go? I talked to you a ton in Colorado. It's got to be a weird feeling being around those guys, not just for a game or two here and there, but a full 7-game series.
Yeah, honestly, like I think the strangest thing was like no one's phone worked. Like I didn't text Harley, Harley text me. I didn't talk to Robo. The only person I was able to talk to was Niels Lundqvist because he was hurt. So, but it wasn't out of ill will or anything like that. It's just you're so focused on your own preparation and your own team's objectives. You're not, it's like anything. You're just no one wants to say anything. You're not going to be genuine. It's just kind of tough. So, phones kind of went away for those 2 weeks. But it's kind of funny walking into the building. Just all the people that were so, so nice. Like that's the best thing about it was walking back in, and you got, Sal and Charlie do the cars for the valet for the Stars guys. They're there to say hi, you give them a hug, and then you're walking down through security, and you see a couple different security guys and women that you interacted with, and then you turn the corner and team services are there. You get to talk to Stretch, and it was walking in. The team behind me, a couple of guys. I didn't know the mayor was coming back, and it's like I don't know. I talked to everybody, and it's just they were all so nice and good humans, and that's the best part of the game, in my opinion, is kind of the people and the world around it. So to come back and also get embraced and remember, and it wasn't long ago, but to just kind of have that little story connection with everybody was cool. And then you get on the ice, and I remember Jake made the comment about flipping me off before the one game, and that kind of went on social as well. So he had texted me. He's like, I didn't actually flip you off. I'm like, no, I know, but Shane, Sagan, Harley, everyone else did. Like, you might as well just join the crew. But no, I mean, that even warm-ups, you look at a few guys, like Ben came over, shot a puck through my 5-hole one time, and you look at him and he's giving you a stare down or whatever, and I was like, hey, congrats on the kid, by the way. And he's just like, all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, we're humans again for a minute. But yeah, definitely different being on the other side of the bench. It's funny, you're looking over and you see all the equipment guys and stuff that can still joke with you and things like that. But a lot of emotions. Obviously, wife was pretty more distraught in the sense of going against it. That was home for so long, and longest tenure we had anywhere outside of the American League. So she actually came back in March for Scarlett's birthday to spend some time with the wives and girls there that were really nice to her. So a lot of fun memories, all that stuff. But when it came down to playing, and I got in there, and luckily didn't get scoring again, because that's the last thing I wanted was somebody to have something over me even more.
Yeah, I think Jake said after that game, he said, I hope Scott doesn't start the next game, because I don't know if we're going to have a shot. But I'm curious if you were truly deep down surprised at all that you didn't get any sort of video tribute. I know we joked about it a little bit in Colorado. I know it's a playoff series, so it's hard, but I was waiting for a 3-minute documentary video of you in the intermission.
No saves, just community stuff.
Yeah, just all the outside stuff.
Yeah. No, I joked with social media admin a little bit about it and gave her some crap, but in playoffs, you're not going to get that. So had some fans. Obviously, there's a big towel guy there that's got my face on a towel in warm-ups, and a few people with jerseys on our side of the ice that was really nice to see, and people that you interact with and stuff. So no, just obviously it's everyone wants the glory of it, and it's winner go home, and you guys got that one, and it was technically Western Conference Final. Everyone had that opinion, right? So it's crazy both of those teams had an option of going home early. So yeah, it was tough. I wish I played a little bit more. Nothing against anybody. I just wanted to be in there to, as a backup, you always want to have an impact, and unfortunately you don't really get in there in the playoffs until something's going sour.
Must have to wait. We'll have to wait till October, November to get the first video
Hey, Luds,
tribute.
we were having this debate with Petey last week about when you tell a backup goalie you're going in. Do you want to get Scott's opinion on this?
Well, I'm going to go down that road.
Okay, go ahead.
I've been waiting to go down this
Go
road.
ahead.
Well, now, Wedgie, this is just a hypothetical. So it's during the playoffs. I got to stick with the format here. So I got to stay in the playoffs right now.
Order.
So I'm staying in the playoffs.
I'm glad you guys are picking up on what we're doing here.
And apparently we're talking about backup goalies now. So I'm trying to tie this all together. And let's just say it's game 5, okay? And you're trailing in the series, 3-1 or something like that. And
Conference final, maybe?
And well, I don't care what it is.
Hypothetically?
But you could. So now you got to remember, you're playing in a system that gives up a lot of damn quality scoring chances in front of you. Okay, so maybe you don't get a volume of shots during games, but you get a lot of them 10 bell ones, right? So a couple go in against you early in the first period, and then there's a timeout called, or apparently a timeout called. I don't know. There's a timeout called. And so you come over, all the guys go over to the bench there, and the coach is losing his marbles. He's turning 3 different shades of red, and he's screaming up and down and things like that. It's all over with, and then you start heading back to the net, and then you hear, hey, oh, come back here. I'm just curious how you handle that. I mean, just a hypothetical. How would you handle that kind of a situation?
Is this
Go
a
ahead,
movie?
take it and run.
I think this was a movie, yeah.
Yeah. It's
totally
going to be
script, not
someday
real life.
it's going to be. I'm going to promise you someday it's going to be. I just want to get your thoughts. A buddy of yours, all that kind of stuff that goes into that.
Yeah.
That kind of a
texted
scenario.
Jake. I texted Jake, and it's just there's so much, but like for the backup, like even for Casey, like just says like if I'm in Casey's shoes there and all of a sudden like, hey, you're going in, and you're like, okay, well this is on me all of a sudden. I haven't played in 2 months, but I think for all of us, we have so much pride. It's like you don't go back to the bench and snap your stick over the bench or whatever it is at the coach. It's just like you go to the back, you're frustrated as ever, and you swallow your pride and you sit there and you do whatever they think's best for the team. And that's kind of what's built into you as a hockey player, right? You kind of have to, a little less for a lot more as a group. Some guys deserve power play time that never get it. Some guys deserve to be in the league and never did because whatever is the story, right? So I feel like in that moment when he gets called back, it's more like his pride is like, I can still do this. Like they scored 2 goals, sure, but I can win us this game. And when that gets taken out from under you, you're just like, okay, well, I'm not going to go skate in the net and stand there and throw a hissy fit until they tell Casey to get off the ice or whatever the situation is. But yeah, I mean, then as the backup, you go in there and you're like, okay, this is on me. Let's go. Like if that's my situation, it's like I can, now is my time. Let's go. Like there's no, I feel bad for that guy. It's what's been done. So you get in there and you put your best foot forward. But yeah, I mean, as well as I know Jake and as prideful as he is, that was tough just to watch in the sense that, that rug just got pulled out from under him and everything that he's prepped for and gone through. But yeah, I mean, the situation and all, the spectacle of it all was gut wrenching from the player side for sure. And then, you listen to it after and it's like, okay, like there might have been some realism to the decision, like the way that it was kind of painted. Just I think the whole thing of how it went down was more of what kind of threw everybody up in arms. So you pull them and you say, hey, okay.
I was just going to ask you, what's your opinion? I mean, again, I don't know if anything's ever happened to you like that. I'm sure. I mean, I know goaltenders all get called, but at the end of the year and all this kind of stuff that goes on, what in your mind, what's the appropriate time frame from a reaching out? And I don't think it's on the player. It's not the player's responsibility to reach out to management, coaches, whoever. But is there? Do you want a cooling off period of a day or so? Do you want to address it the next morning? I'm just curious because I don't even think we still know if there ever was. I don't know anything about it, but I'm just curious in your mind, what would you expect in that kind of a situation?
Well, I think right away, Jeff Reese steps in and he's police in the best, better sense of the word, but he obviously puts out whatever fires on Jake's side and then comes from the coach's perspective because they got to manage both rooms. But I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one because your season ends, right? Like in 2 days from now, it's going to be team meetings anyway, and you're going to sit face to face and talk about it. So, yeah, I think the way I would have looked at it in the situation is, you ride your goalie, which everyone kind of says, and he's the guy to be ridden. I would have probably just gone, hey, like, cool off. It's 2 goals on 2 shots. Go back there and break a stick, and we'll see you at the start of the next 20. And whatever happens for Casey happened. Like, unfortunately, they scored whatever it was a few minutes later. But if Casey holds down the forward and you go back out for the second, and even in the 3-1 game, like, it's Jake Ottinger in the playoffs. Like, it's kind of the story. And unfortunately, whatever the case was in their minds, that it wasn't going particularly well for him. But if he came out for that, second period, and you can hypothetically say he could have shut the game down and won, but, no ill will to Casey either. He did what he could do, but I think at that point in that situation, and Jake got a reset, and, you sit guys on the bench for a period. It's the same kind of concept. So that was kind of where my head went when he didn't come out for the second. I was just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, I thought it was still a reachable game with him coming back in there, but, everybody could say, hindsight 2020 on both sides of it.
I didn't want to stop this, but our producer is screaming at me. We got to take a quick break. More with Scott Wedgewood next here on DLLS. Let's first go to the ball knower bonus because, well, we still have a couple of games. Could be the last one tonight. We'll find out in the 6th game of the Stanley Cup Final or the 6th game of the NBA Finals coming up here in just a few in a day or so. The Ball Knower bonus is back at DLLS, and we have a double challenge. You can win a gift card to the ALLCITY merch store if you pick correctly. Here's how it works. First, you pick the winner of either tonight's Game 6, Panthers trying to close it out against Edmonton in Sunrise, or the next NBA Finals game, which will, of course, be Oklahoma City trying to go to Indianapolis and beating the Pacers. Well, as we go, Then you browse our store, make a purchase, and if at least $25, if you get your pick right, you'll win a gift card for the same amount as the original order. Here's the important part. We must have you click on the link in the chat or in the show YouTube description to bet and get your card. So again, for all the ball knowers, make your pick, then place an order. If you pick correctly, you're going to get a gift card from us for the same amount as your order. That is the ball knower bonus. And in addition to that, don't forget, for DLLS, you should become a diehard. We're going to actually get to some diehard Discord questions for Wedgie here in overtime in just a couple of minutes. But how do you sign up to be a diehard? Scan the QR code at the bottom of the screen. That will take you to our website, alldls.com. Sign up to be a diehard today. Not only do you get a free t-shirt of your choice, anything on the DLLS merchandise catalog, but you can also, well, take a look at some of the other shirts. You get 20% off merchandise. That Ottinger shirt. I can imagine if Wedgie was still here, we'd have an unbelievable wedge wall design. Maybe we could still do one. Maybe the DNVR site will do it.
They
but
should do it.
We've got the Otter. We've got the Finnish Mafia shirts, the Jamie Benn Captain, the Moose, the Wyatt. There's the Moose and Ben. Wyatt 16-bit, the Miko finisher. I love the Finnish Mafia one. All available. AllDLLS.com. Sign up to be a diehard today. All right. Elijah, do you have that video that we can play, Scott? And we'll get to a moment of silliness that we were waiting for before. Silliness. Yes, let's do the socks.
Love it.
That's my favorite part, Scott, is the reveal while he's on the massage table and he's looking face down through the donut and you just walk up and show it to him. I mean, that was what started that whole sock thing?
Honestly, nothing. My parents, I came into town, I took them to the stockyards and we were just doing nothing, walking through stores. And one of them, I was in the window and it had like Dallas logos or whatever, and then Sagan's face was hanging there, and it was like $12, and I'm like, well, this will work. So I texted the media girl, and I was just like, hey, I got a surprise on my legs today when I walk in, and then she had just asked if I could get Sagan's reaction when he sees them, and I did a lap of the room and couldn't find him, and then it just worked out. He was face down, and I'm like, well, he'll see these, so put it in there, and he was getting prepared and things like that, but still early. It's like 4:15, 4:20, so we got a long way to go for 4 games. But yeah, it ended up being a little bit more than what I anticipated. But little things like that obviously like brighten some guys' days, and you can make some fun in there. I'm sure Luds has tons of story of worse stuff, but those little things obviously keep the little inside jokes going.
Luds is smiling at me with the creepiest way. You have a story that just came to your mind?
No. I'm going to ask. Go ahead.
He always has a story.
No. What I was thinking, I can't help stop thinking about the one picture you had with Wedgie on the ice with Otter and the goalie coach there. And I just want to ask you and let people know, how important is that guy, that goaltender, that coach, that Fraser Crane, or how you guys relate and how he relates. And I'm guessing he's, if not the most important, one of the most important people in your game, in your careers. And you got to have the right guy, I'm assuming. Yeah.
And honestly, if you ask Reeser, he'd probably tell you Jake's his son, obviously as close as it gets there. So, when I came in, it was awesome just the way that they had obviously worked together. And I feel like I can fit in most rooms, and it fit perfectly. And he's just kind of that, middleman. Like, he knows the coach's messages. He knows where they're annoyed, what their system breakdown is, and what they're trying to fix. And then he obviously is the only one looking at our game. So it doesn't matter if the power play coach feels that you have a weak glove hand. He's looking at everything. He's got 2 guys to manage. Everybody else has, 8 and 16, and they got, their jobs and special team units. He's just got the goalies no matter what. So he's your daily contact. As soon as you're in there, you're rolling out. He comes by. He's like, hey, practice is going to start at 11. We'll get out there at 10:30. We'll work on this, and this today. Game days, Wedgie, I'm going to take you 15 minutes early. Jake will come out. I'll just get him warm. And then after practice, he's playing tomorrow. So we'll get through a couple more drills. And he just looks at your game. There's video. He sits there and breaks down your video, the opposing goalie. And then at times throughout the year, it's, he'll come in and just be like, hey, like for my job, it's, how's Jake today? Tough game last night. How's his mentality? What's he feeling like? Should I approach him today or should I leave him today? And just little questions. And, it's kind of my job as a veteran type, guy, been around the league, seen a lot of different interactions, to be like, hey, maybe today don't take him out early. He's played, 4 of the last 6 games, and 2 in a row and whatever, and we got someone coming up, and that happens once, twice a year, and other times he doesn't need my opinion. He's been doing it so long. But those little interactions are the 3 of us in the goalie room and things like that. So obviously it was tough leaving with, obviously Reeser was calling me too with the free agency coming up and, wanted me back, and a huge part of my success and obviously in my corner. So, but if you have that trust and the ability to understand each other in the game and develop it, it's huge. Like you said, you need the guy and you need someone you can trust.
Can you put a percentage on it? Like when head coach, goaltending coach, is it 80-20 goaltending coach versus, I'm talking about conversations. Like, is it 90-10? Like, how do you put a percentage on, or let us know how much you actually do talk or don't talk to the head coach?
I talk to everybody, so it's kind of tough in my situation. You walk through the room, I'll ask them how their day's going. So some guys get caught off by, the small talk, but in the sense of hockey, it's definitely, no more than 70% to the head coach. Like it's more just, Wedgie, how are you? Tap on the pads as you enter practice type stuff. And goalie coach does his thing. And then, you get in a PK meeting and you interact with the PK coach a little bit more, because obviously it comes down to the opportunities they're going to get. But yeah, most of my conversations with Pete were more just, hey, how are you? And, you're playing tomorrow type stuff. And it was outside of that, just, small talk. And then, honestly, the most I've probably talked to any goalie or head coach was Bonus. Bonus would text me after games. If I played well, he was unbelievable. Wedgie, we don't win tonight if you weren't good. And that was the first text I got from him in Carolina. I was like, oh, this is really nice for, coming into a new team and played well. And head coach texted me. It's almost like, what do you write back to this? Like, I'm nervous to text back my coach. Thanks, brother. Like, what? I don't know. So,
drafting it out.
But yeah, so there's those interactions, and a lot of them, I haven't ran into a bad guy at all with who I've had. But yeah, there's not much of like, I had a coach in Plymouth here, Mike Vellucci, who just got hired by Chicago, and all he ever said to me was just stop the effing puck, and everything else is just family and life.
I was going to ask you, Scott, how often did you have that goalie coach? Did you have that in the OHL? Did you have that in other, it was not a common thing, at least in other sports, that to have a specific goalie coach. At what level did that kind of start for you?
I went to John Elkin's camp a couple years after I switched goalie, right around 13, 14. And then we hired in minor hockey, like once or twice a week, an employee of his would come out and do some drills. Then you do a summer camp type thing. And then the OHL was my first ever goalie coach. Like I came into them at 08, and I just was a heavier kid that just got in the way of the puck. And all of a sudden now you're on your post and you're learning checkoffs, you're learning, obviously depth and situational awareness and how to properly read the game. It was getting away with it for so long, and obviously honed that over a lot of years. But yeah, you're still learning. Went into this year with a new goalie coach in Vanderklok, and then I got UC Parkville in Colorado, and very, very opposite ends of the approach and systems and everything. So had my work cut out for me both times, because Reeser was technical but minimal in what he wanted to change. He was a motivator and a confidence builder, and trust yourself, and he'd have his critiques here and there. And then Vanderklok was, here's my book, this is how we're going to do it, and I can really see you excelling in it. And then UC Parkville was just like, you got some great tools, let's use those and play your game. So everyone's got their little way to go about it. It kind of would be like a pitching coach, I'd assume, to some pitchers would have, or a batting coach kind of thing. But it's interesting the way the guys all see the game differently.
Did you go to Elkins with Blackwood? Because I know he went there too.
He went there, but I had already moved back to the States when he was coming up. So no. But in the summers, honestly, he'd probably be out there when I'm on different rinks and stuff and around town. But no, we didn't really meet until he came to Albany.
Before we keep going, I want to thank everyone who joined on our live television platforms. Make sure to like and subscribe here on the pod. And don't forget to check out alldlls.com. Okay, we're into overtime. Now we get back to it. We have some die-hard questions for you. It's a little bit trickier because you're a mystery guest. We couldn't say ahead of time, hey, Scott Wedgewood's joining the show. So Sam actually had to do it from our Die Hard Discord channel as we were doing the show once they knew it was. But before we do, I did want to ask you a couple quick things. One is, I was looking at this, and you had a great year in Colorado. And to the fact that you are, listen to this, guys, 19 games with the Avs, 18 starts. We already talked about the one relief appearance. 13-4-1, 1.99 goals against, .917 save percentage, 2 shutouts, and he's one of only 3 goalies in Avs Nordique's franchise history with at least 15 starts to have a sub-2 goals against and a winning percentage of .750 or better, along with Philip Grubauer in 2021 and Jocelyn Thibault in 94-95. He had a heck of a year with the Avalanche.
Wow. I remember that name, Thibault. He was good.
Wasn't he?
Yeah.
So
I love going back and throwing names out.
What was it? What for you though? Like, I mean, obviously you've been a good goalie for the Dallas Stars. You played well. Why was it so successful for you playing with Colorado this year?
I mean, a lot of it was they scored, right? They put teams out of their misery pretty early, and you just kind of did your job. But no, I honestly think one of the things I had worked on that I'm sure Stars fans could probably have as one of their pet peeves is just kind of slowing my game down in the sense of like my aggressive charge. So a lot of the times I went over video and how you can get better and things like that. And a lot of the times when I would scramble, I would come across. I'm a great skater, across the league. I think I'm, upper echelon of a guy that can move on his feet. And I would come over and guy would get a weak side pass and I'd come and then I'd just kind of get that extra foot of glide. And I always felt like, I got to get that glide because it's going to beat me on the shoulders. And if I don't get out there, I'm not 6'4" kind of thing. And then, getting to Colorado, one thing he kind of pointed out, he's like, you're so good at reacting. If you just get there and stop and not chase, the ability to make the save is there. It's more just you're now there to make the second save and the third save and stay inside your frame. So I think kind of just getting to that break point, like I don't really remember much this year where I was crazy scrambling outside of the obviously bouncing pucks. It was, because in Dallas there'd be times where they just make a seam pass on a 3-on-2 and I'd be a foot outside the bottom of the paint or a foot above the top of the paint, and I'd make a save, and then I got to get 10 feet back to the far post instead of 6. So it just kind of own the game in a little bit just to keep my box control a little bit better. And then obviously you got a good D zone. They played well in front of us, and I kind of fit into the system. Like I said, moving there was a system I kind of played behind my whole life. And then I kind of got confident. I mean, you start winning games, you put up some shutouts, you're on a new team. I felt like I could, take a job from Georgiev at the beginning, and then Blackwood came in and knew my role again, but it was another good tandem of person I trusted, and felt like I had won the coaching staff over coming in early on, like I kind of did with Dallas, and it just felt at home again. Like it just kind of felt like, hey, like I'm in a room, I can meet some guys and got to build those relationships like I did when I got to Dallas. But it just kind of felt like, hey, I can play here and they're going to use me, and if I can play well, I can obviously keep earning contracts and earning starts. And I've only played, like I think you said at the start of the show, 150 something games, and I think that's been the hardest thing is I know I'm good, I know I can do well. I just unfortunately didn't get a ton of time early to prove it, and now it's been the backup role and stay in the league, and it's a hell of a job. I love it, but I would love to be in there more and have someone just pause time, don't trade for Blackwood and let me run and see how I could have done. Blackwood did amazing, so obviously they made the right choice, but I would always love to see where I can go.
Luds, I don't know if you want to get into it because it drives you nuts, but do you want to ask him about man-on-man versus the layered coverage?
I would like to let it go for the next 3 months. we
might
not have to talk about it all season again.
Luddy complaining about D-zone coverage and man-on-man going through the Stars run from beginning of the season till now.
Wedgie, you were here. I mean, my big thing is like when a team enters the zone and you want to push guys like that, you can take time and space away. It's just when there's some extended zone time and you play that kind of a system and you just lock onto a guy, the next thing you know, especially as a goaltender, I mean, your defensemen are at the top of the circles or covering defensemen, and then you got forwards in front of the net that are supposed to be where the defensemen are, and it just hell breaks loose. And all of a sudden, there's these unbelievable scoring chances because somebody's turned their back, but they're playing the system. What the system is, I don't even want to go there. But what I do want to ask you about, like the difference in from a goaltender is from a mindset of you're in Nashville and you have these big gun guys there, but they're not scoring goals. And then you go to, you get into another team and they have the ability to score some goals. Do you have does it affect you differently knowing that a team that doesn't score as much versus a team that can put up 2-3 goals, like that. I mean, can you kind of shake it where you don't tighten your game up as much? You just settle down. They're going to get me a couple goals yet.
Yeah, I think the whole message anytime we were down going into the third period was kind of back to that Buffalo game. We did it to Buffalo twice. The one time I got injured, I think we were down. I think they were down. I got hurt around 2 or 3 goals against, and then they were down 5-something and came back and won 6-5. It happened twice to Buffalo, unfortunately for them. But yeah, it just was the message the whole time. Like, the team's never out of it. You get a power play, you get Nate on Kale on the ice. Like, good luck. It's just kind of the McDavid-Draisaitl effect. So I think going into games, and I was the same way with Dallas. I'd never played on a team before I got there that was above third in the standings, in the bottom, so like bottom third. And it was just like you go into games, okay, I'm playing Toronto tonight with Arizona. If I don't give up 6, I had a good night. And all of a sudden you win a game against Vegas, and it's like, oh, we won 4-3. I had 50 shots, 4 goals against. I had a hell of a night. And another night you give up 5 and you got 28 shots, but they're all, like you said, the man-on-man coverage or whatever it is. And there's 4 breakaways. You made 2 saves, we gave up 2, and everyone tells you suck. So
amen.
It's just kind of the way it works. But I do think, with the rosters I had for the time in Dallas, and then obviously, unfortunately, we thought it going into Nashville, just the way the season started, everybody kind of got on their heels. But when you have a team that you look at the roster, like, we're winning. Like, the game before the game starts, we anticipate to win. I'm sure you ask someone in Chicago or San Jose this year, it's just the mindset isn't there. It's like, I just hope we don't get shelled tonight and I'm -4. It's just kind of a completely different approach when you expect to win.
All right, we don't want to keep you all day. I have a whole list of things
we want to keep you all day.
What we do?
My wife's grocery shopping, so I'm good.
I have a pile more things I wanted to ask you about. You were front and center on the Rantanen trade because you were there by then. The return of Rantanen to Denver, playing the Stars in the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. Your relationship with Jason Robertson and what you guys do in the summer, because you guys, I believe, are close in Michigan there. But we don't have time for that. So maybe we'll have to have you back on a little bit later if you're cool with it. But we have some diehard questions from the Discord from Sam. Take it away.
All right. Scott, I'm going to combine a couple of these because there's a lot of Mario Kart themed questions here. But from AJN Rules as well as Matthew, I'll say, 1, how are you enjoying your Switch? 2, if you have a new Switch. I'm assuming they probably saw that on your social media. And Mario Kart World. And what is your go-to character when playing Mario Kart?
I haven't changed, man. Actually, after the trade from Nashville to Colorado, I just unboxed my Xbox, PlayStation, gaming laptop, and Switch, all that, like 2 days ago. So I haven't got any of the new stuff. But when we would play, we actually play on the plane in Nashville, and we did it in Dallas. Like, Freddie Olsen and I would run some Switch games. But I was always using Tanuki Mario. I don't remember the card or whatever, but yeah, we had some fun. I don't know. I claim I was the best on the team, but I think Freddie O and me were always up at the top end of it.
Tanuki's mine, by the way. I don't know why, but I picked him, and every time I win a race with my kids, Tanuki.
Oh, Freddie's still with the. Oh, he is. That's right. Okay. All right. Next one from Kiki Mojo. This is a tough one to answer, so I'm just going to read it to you. Which 2 Dallas Stars do you miss the most? And if you had to pick one guy to move to the Avs, doesn't have to be realistic, who would you do? Who would you trade?
Oof.
Is that from Jim Nill?
Try to test the market. No, I think, like, honestly, like, Niels, Robo, and Harley and I were all, like, we were a good group. That was like our golf group and everything. But it's tough because my wife's close with all 3 of their girls too. So I mean, I'd take any one of them to be a teammate. But I would say miss the most probably Robo shenanigans just daily. And then to bring over, I mean, they're all unbelievable players. I'd take any one of the 3 of them. But I mean, I'll take some defensive help with either Niels or Harley right now. I feel like the Avs can score some goals. So I'll fight Robo in the summer and then try and stop him next year for once.
Very fair. Very fair. All right. From Robotic Otter. These are some great names. Can you have Wedgie? I don't even know who that is, so I'm going to skip that part. How much worse are the tacos in Denver compared to Dallas?
Oh, God. I don't know. I think my wife and I one dinner in Denver after we got there. Baby goes to bed at 7:15, 7:30, and I'm right behind her. So we didn't get much eating out, which was unfortunate with the trade and everything. But I did love there's a Mexican called the Mexican down, I forget the area there by Carbone and stuff in Dallas. My wife and I really enjoyed. So I'll go with Dallas just to make him happy there.
Very fair. I'm not going to ask you the next one, which is where's your favorite restaurant in Denver, since you just answered that question. When you are watching games on TV, this is from Tyler K. When you're watching games on TV, obviously not your team, how much are you able to shut off your brain and just watch, or are you constantly analyzing and trying to take notes?
Both. Like sometimes it's just on, but when I'm always watching goalies, any goalie kind of situational. It's tough to watch right now when goals go in on either goalie. And I had Darnell Nurse's goal against Bob the other night, the short side shoulder. He scored the exact same shot on me, game 8 when McDavid had his 1,000th point the night earlier this year. It's the same shot and beat me in the same exact spot that he did Bob. So you just see it and you replay that situation in your mind. You're like, all right, how would I fix that? Or if it happened to me, how did I fix it? And what did he do? And that's kind of the always trying to get better mentality. But it's just fun. Like, if you're into anything, I feel like you read and critique it. And if you've done it, how can you do it better? Or how did that guy succeed? So, a lot of the game is a little bit on, but I do enjoy watching, what goalies do and what could possibly work.
Well, if you're always watching goalies, which goalie gets the win tonight?
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Which goalie gets the start tonight?
Well, who's getting the start. Skinner's at.
Skinner's going. I don't know. Where is it? Is it in Florida?
Florida. In Florida. Oh, glad you're keeping up with it. Yeah.
I know it starts at 8 something.
For Eastern time.
Anyway, not you guys.
That's right. We got the 7:20 puck drop.
I don't know. Yeah, you guys ever feel like the league just wants Game 7?
Yes.
Like it's more revenue. It's more everything. Like, is there going to be one more call for one more power play with 3 minutes to go? Like, I feel like
look at that.
Conspiracy theorist
here now.
I like it how he goes, more revenue, more money for me.
For me, what do I get out of it?
I don't know. Don't you guys get shares of that revenue?
I mean, CBA has been written, so not anymore, but it'll push the salary cap, so maybe it will come back to me. But I don't know.
Let's get him talking about escrow.
Yeah, I'm on both sides of it. I mean, I think the storyline behind McDavid getting his first one just being what he's done, it's kind of that mountaintop, right? So that'd be cool, but also, the team that Florida puts out there, it's hard to beat those guys, and tip the scale in goalies to Bob's side, obviously what he's done. So I don't know. I think Florida finds a way to not do what they did last year and have to play Game 7.
All right, we got to wrap here. So one last one from anybody.
I'm done. I'm good.
I got GM Ben.
Oh my God!
I have to ask
Our
it.
boss.
It's not. I think the answer is no. Have you been to the DNVR bar in Denver?
He barely knows the restaurants there.
Is that the post-game show spot?
Probably. It's
So
our
network affiliate.
in Denver.
Ask GM Ben if he paid the Wi-Fi bill.
Oh, be nice. All right, let's finish up with
I don't think
one.
I have. I don't think I did any of the post-game shows upstairs there, if that's what you're talking about.
So, Wedgie, last one for you here. What was and this sounds a little serious, but it is. What was it like to be there firsthand to watch your captain now, Gabe Landeskog, come back and play, and that the whole build-up and finally getting him out there? I mean, when he scored that goal was fantastic. Seeing him named to the Canadian Olympic team for next year is awesome. I mean, just from a human standpoint, I don't care if it was Stars and Avs. We all said in the moment, like, as much as that was the enemy of the Dallas Stars playoff hopes, from a human side, I mean, I don't know anyone who couldn't be rooting against him. It was such a great story to see him come back after that time off.
Yeah, I played against him when he was in Kitchener and I was in Plymouth, so not friends at the time, but obviously, well acquainted. And then, getting to the team and stuff, he wasn't even around much at the beginning. It was just like he'd pop up one day and skate, and then he'd be gone for a week, and then pop up again. And he had so much going on behind the scenes to get himself healthy, but unbelievable dude. Like the stories behind him, and obviously how good of a human he is all true, and world class in that regard. But watching the Prime documentary there on him, or whatever streaming service that was on, I forget, but it was just awesome to see it all happen. And even when I was there, like, it was kind of like even me to some of the guys, like, quietly, like, is he like around, or is this just I'm doing work so I get my money for the next 6 years, because if I don't show up I don't get paid because I'm on LTIR? Like, I didn't know anything going into it. And then he just kind of started showing up to practice, 3 times a week, then 4 times a week, and working out and with us and coming on a couple road trips and implementing himself kind of back into it, pacing himself. And then once it was kind of like maybe a month or so out, it was like, I'm going to go down to the Eagles and try it. And if it's all good, then I'm telling them I'm good and then use me how you use me. So, like to come back from, the whole situation he was explaining, the knee and the cut and the surgery, tightening up the front of the knee, and then he couldn't move the muscle, and then the muscle ripped what was inside the knee, and the surgeries and the money. And he's like, I've dumped multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars into my own rehab to be able to come back. So it wasn't just sitting on his hands and knees and just, so to see him do it and then score and, the Gabe chance and everything, or Landy chance, it was really cool. So, proud. And then obviously starting the next year with him day one will be a big boost for sure.
Oh, and you got to wrap this thing up. But Scott, you get 3 words. Sum up Cale Makar.
Ooh.
Or 1, but no more than 3.
Very dynamic. I'm saying dynamic, but
he added an extra one.
Thinking of very out of there. Dynamic. I'll go explosive. Along with that, he just catches everybody, and then deceptive. I think the hardest thing is keeping up with him as he pump fakes and slides and looks to shoot and keeps going, and all of a sudden he's off the screen like I just was, and you bit, you stuck, you moved, you slid, you scored back door. You're like, okay, cool, man, thanks. So unbelievable.
There's a couple more than 3, but it's hard to sum them up in 3 words.
He gave you 3 distinctive words.
Can't do it. It was amazing.
So just do your editing stuff and we'll be good.
Scott, I just want to say thanks. You were great today. Awesome.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
If you're up for it, we'd love to have you back on again some point later this summer, because we can
rate
talk
goes
about,
up, but
change your number.
all of a sudden he's talk about like playoffs where all of a sudden they're not answering.
He's not
going to answer Sam's text anymore. Yeah. Well, hey, Wedgie, thank you so much. It's so much fun to talk to you. I can't wait to see when the schedule comes out, because we'll be circling when you'll be in town. I know you guys usually just go the day before, but we'd love to have you come in studio if it worked out. So thank you again. Really enjoyed it. And I know we all had a blast. So appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, guys. Miss you guys. Good seeing you.
All right. Thanks, Scott.
There he goes, Scott Wedgewood. Big thank you to our presenting sponsors today, Bud Light and Happiest Hour. And just a quick programming note, Wednesday's show is musical chairs. Luds is going to be doing the Cowboys show.
None of us will be here.
Sam will be doing the Rangers show. I'm part of the Mavs show. Sean will be remote doing the Stars show with some writers that are usually not Stars. Elijah's going to have his hands full tomorrow. So we hope you enjoy Musical Chairs Day. We'll all be back for Thursday's show, maybe.
Yes.
Here on DLLS.
Thank you, Elijah, for today.
Big thank you to Elijah, for Luds,
Threw a
for
lot of
Sam,
crap
and
at
of
him.
course, Scott Wedgewood. I'm Owen. We'll see you next time.
We all silly like the mayor.